the work published in the October 28th online edition of Nature Nanotechnology may lead to better ways of determining carbon nanotubes toxicity to humans. And with whether it's carbon nanotubes or depleted uranium nanoparticles, these are the most dangerous biological toxins of all. Now, what's very interesting and you can explain this, in February, what is this? Oh, this is Nano Letters, 2007. So this just came out. It was just published, Nanotube Radio. And the Department of Physics at UC Berkeley and the Material Science Division at the Lawrence Berkeley National Lab, which is where the Manhattan Project started, have actually put out these press releases proving that they were able to turn a carbon nanotube into an antenna, making it a nanotube radio, which could receive and transmit radio signals and radio frequencies. And you can go to their website and actually listen and watch a video clip of a carbon nanotube receiving the electromagnetic signals of a song and then actually transmitting it so that you can hear it. Now, what would be the purpose of turning nanotubes into an antenna, Wynn?
I have two answers for that. On the October 28th Nature, what was the year on
that? This year, 2007.
That's what I thought.
Just a couple months ago.
I know. Yeah, because the reason I'm asking that is because the Russians have suppressed that information.
Well, you have to remember the Soviet Union and the U.S. government were secret partners on the HARP project.
I know.
And we should have a program on that because I have traced the full development from the Soviet Union and the woodpecker signal to the Lawrence Livermore Laboratory. They were the secret partner agency.
That's right, and they did that up in Alaska. And
do HARP in Alaska. It's also in Norway and in not Greenland, but Newfoundland.
Yeah, the one that they put up in Arizona is an extraordinary situation.
That's part of Los Alamos.
Yeah, and I think now
and this is the images of the nanoparticles came out October 28th. The press releases for this nanotube radio came out October 31st. So they are absolutely related.
Yeah, right. And the thing is that now this whole system is dependent on the antenna. And if you have the antenna, you can measure out the nanoparticle and its activity. One of the major processes that I've talked about on other Parker Pathway shows, which I called synthetic biologists, the rebuilding of human beings, and the development of the use of these nanoparticles with magnetic fields that have to do with making synthetic enzymes for the new humans. I haven't gotten into it as much as I should have, but I could do about 2 shows on this. And in fact, I'm thinking here re-inviting you back on when I do that show, because what's going to happen is the measurement of the enzyme systems of the red cell of the human body, it carries the oxygen that's necessary for the human being to live. The blood-brain barrier transfer of all of the purpose chemicals of the hydroacetic acids and the fluorides and the bromides and the deuterated uranium as part of its carrier will send a signal by the antenna to the hippocampus of the brain to change the hormones to give a different thought process to the human being. That's project 1. That's going on right now. Number two, the Japanese have sophisticated the nanoparticle to the point where they can change the gland system of a human being 700 feet away by using the antenna process of the nanoparticle. And also, everything you eat and everything you think can be set to the nanoparticle's magnetic frequency. So right now in gibbons, you can read the thought processes of gibbons by this process, and there's some human experimentations that are going on in France. And we can pick up on this after the other end of the break and get your comments on the radio frequency system. Lorraine Moret, our guest. This is Parker Pathways. Dr. Wynn Parker, February 3rd, 2007, and our guest, Lorraine Moret, who is actually giving us some valuable information on deuterated uranium. I want to finish up real fast before we go to your next question, Lorraine. But one of the things about the antenna and the wiring of the cell, the whole point of the antenna at the moment is to also give instructions to the nanotubes that are inside the red cell and the white cell of the human body. And what's happening here on another project, which it hasn't made the world yet, but it has to do with the wiring, which you alluded to. The cells are actually wired to the new system of how to control the human body and human thought, and not only that, to change the glandular structure of the human being as the eventual goal. And then the third project that is scooting around here is called what is called the field of transmutation. Essentially, what's going on is that there are particle collisions, and these particle collisions of the enzyme systems are getting into these new projects with these nanotubes in such a way to make a whole new element. So what you have here, what we have always thought about as colliders, to be able to fire at thousands of miles an hour particles together and create new elements, is now being controlled by the antenna and the nanotube chemistries in such a way to create whole new human cells to trigger the gene system, which in turn will wire the cell, which in turn will, if you will, facilitate the goals of the social planners. So I've kind of short-handed this whole thing to try to answer that question that you posed to me.